Hey everybody, I'm Greenhavak, joined by Cynize, and this is ESHQ's GG Well Played.
Justice reigns from above.
No one can hide from my sight.
Cheers, love! The cavalry's here!
Hey everybody, and welcome to ESHQ's GG Well Played, where we're going to be taking a look at the most recent week in the Overwatch League, and we're going to be talking about some of the narratives, highlights, players, and we're really just going to be diving into the content. So I have to ask, what was some of the standout games of this past week to you?
You know, a lot really happened. We know where the top tier teams stand. We know where the bottom tier teams stand now. And really, one of those big games was between Houston and Dallas.
Oh, yes.
Everyone thought Dallas Fuel was going to be a top tier team. Houston Outlaws, first week, they didn't look so well. So they were kind of dropping off as well. Houston came back, especially during the Houston versus Dallas game. Amazing. They destroyed. They didn't destroy Dallas.
You know
they
what?
took them apart.
You know what? Destroyed is an adequate word. When you 4-0,
Yeah.
when you 4-0, I mean, the team that shares your state with you, yeah, you can say destroyed.
You can basically say that a new rivalry was born.
Oh,
That's for
absolutely.
sure. And you know that split. That basically started Dallas climbing down in the ranks and boosting Houston up to one of the top teams now in the roster or in the league.
Oh, yeah.
And on the other side of that, we have the game where it told us who was going to be in the last place. We had the Shanghai Dragons versus the Florida Mayhem. And really, I did not see it. I don't think anyone saw it. Mayhem 4-0ing the Shanghai Dragons.
I thought they were going to be at least comparable teams.
Right?
But no, Shanghai is really tripping out of the gates. Florida cruising to a pretty easy win.
Yeah.
So
It was surprising to me. I mean, these two teams, low tier, no one really was thinking about, they weren't, it wasn't going to be a 4-0. No one thought about that. So that was super surprising for me. What about you? What stood out to you in this week?
For me, it was the London Spitfires ending one day against the Dallas Fuel and starting the next day against the LA Valiant. Two teams which with great rosters, top-notch players, MVP caliber players, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do? They walk away with two big wins.
Huge.
They take the Valiant to overtime. I mean, that one was close. Valiant put up a great fight.
They really did.
We were talking about it. That was a game to watch. If you get a chance, it's worth going back and watching the replay, 100%. But then their other win against the Dallas Fuel.
Yeah.
I did not see them sweeping aside Dallas that way. That was, two big wins back to back, showing that they can handle. They can handle the league, they can handle the teams, they can handle the time, and they can handle the pressure. And you know what? That is how champions are made.
That's true. That's true. You know, it's interesting. Valiant, we thought was a top tier team. We thought they were going to be one of the top three, and they're falling. They're falling in the roster. Like I'm actually pretty surprised. Right now, the Houston Outlaws are ahead of them. So, and I did not think that the Houston Outlaws was going to take it around either. So
ultimately, we're going to see how it all pans out as far as this stage goes. But Houston has put themselves in a good spot moving forward. But you know what? Let's go ahead and talk a little more narrative as I break down the Overwatch League's most recent week and what it means moving forward. All right, guys, let's take a look into the narrative of the week, starting off with, day one. So, at day one, the San Francisco Shock and Philadelphia Fusion clashed, but the Philadelphia Fusion would come out on top with a 2-1 win. The Dynasty would wrap up the Florida Mayhem with a 4-0 victory, looking very dominant for the Dynasty, but the Florida Mayhem did have their moments, which was important to see for them. The Shanghai Dragons and Houston would battle it out, but the Shanghai Dragons came out a little extra shaky, and the Houston Outlaws looked more impressive than they have looked in, basically their whole time as a team. But the Houston Outlaws would outdo themselves going into Day 2. Day 2, the Houston Outlaws and the Dallas Fuel would clash, and the Houston Outlaws would beat the Dallas Fuel 4-0. That is a huge win, not only for Texas, but for the league in general, and another setback for the Dallas Fuel. Moving into the next game of the day, the New York Excelsior would take on the LA Valiant. This was a star-studded match that would go to the New York Excelsior's 3-0, with the Valiant battling back just to save a tie on the last map. The Philadelphia Fusion would then again clash with the LA Gladiators, and the LA Gladiators looked shaky in the beginning of this game, but they fought back hard to get the game to go to overtime and to win overtime convincingly. Moving on to Day 3, the Seoul Dynasty and the Boston Uprising would battle it out again, but the Uprising would fall short as the Dynasty would claim a 4-0 victory. Shanghai Dragons and Florida Mayhem clashed with the game not quite going the way Shanghai wanted it either, with a big 4-0 going to the Florida Mayhem. Wrapping up Day 3, it was the London versus Dallas game. The London Spitfires versus the Dallas Fuel, and yet again, the Dallas Fuel is coming up with no answers. And as they say, London is flying high, or aces high. So, moving into our final day, Saturday the 20th, the LA Valiant and the London Spitfire kickoff. That's right, London had back-to-back games, and London got the job done in overtime, claiming the victory over the LA Valiant 3-2. The Los Angeles Gladiators and the New York Excelsior would clash, but the New York Excelsiors would prove too much for the Gladiators, knocking them out 4-0. And the final game of the week was Boston versus San Francisco. If you didn't get a chance to watch this game, it was scrappy, it was fun, and it went to the overtime match, and it went to the overtime map of the overtime match. So, it's a game to watch. It's fun, like I said, it's fun, it's exciting, it's scrappy, and that game would ultimately go to the San Francisco Shock in that double overtime 3-2. So one of the other things I wanted to highlight about the league is, so obviously the standings. Right now we have the Seoul Dynasty in first place, the New York Excelsior following that up in second, the Los Angeles Valiant falling all the way down to 5th. London Spitfire and Houston claim those 4 and 5 spots. Moving down to our bottom 5 teams, Shanghai are still our low man on the totem pole. Dallas has dropped to 11th place in the standings. Florida Mayhem in 10th, Boston Uprising in 9th, and Philadelphia down to 8th place, with the other teams moving around in the middle of the pack. But one of the things I wanted to highlight is sometimes winning games seems like, we've got 3 teams that are undefeated match-wise. We've got the Seoul Dynasty, New York Excelsior, and the London Spitfires all sitting at 4-0. But is that really where they all should stand? I want to take a look at who they've played to give a better idea of the real power we're seeing from these squads. So I personally have this as my top 5 for power rankings. That's right, I have the New York Excelsior, then the London Spitfire, then Seoul Dynasty, then Houston, and finally Valiant. And the thing to look into with all these teams is who they've played against, the puzzle pieces. Really thinking about, so we've seen the New York Excelsior play against the Valiant. We've seen them play against the Gladiators. we've seen Soul play against the Gladiators, and we've seen the Valiant play a few different teams that are in this top lineup. So we can kind of start to put together these pieces. So moving into week 3, this is Greenhavak's top 5 power teams. But that is everything for the narrative this week. And boy, there are some exciting games coming up next week. So I can't wait to see you again when we're talking about the results.
Those power rankings make so much sense to me. The ability to rate them based on the other opponents' rankings, it's great. I absolutely love what you did there.
I thought it was important to really start to look at some of the puzzle pieces. So obviously, Seoul Dynasty, New York, they're on top. Yep. They haven't lost a game. Same with the London Spitfires. But we got to look at who have they played, and the competition that they've faced off against can kind of start to give us that mapping on who they can struggle against in the future, what teams can really look to start being upsets. And I think it's important to pay attention to who they've played against, when they've played against them, and that'll start to even further give us a big narrative moving forward, not for just stage 1 of the Overwatch League, but for the entirety of the Overwatch League in general.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, New York Excelsior, London Spitfire, they had some tough matches. So that's a pretty cool ranking.
But these teams get it done by top-notch plays by the players themselves. So we're going to send it on over to our analyst desk to figure out who our standout players and who our MVP of the week are. So NASCAB, oh hey, it's Derek, it's all you.
Thanks, Havoc. Oh hey, it's Derek. Yes, it is. Joining you here once again to give you the top players of the week in the Overwatch League. Now, as we know, there's always standout performances on every day of play. So here on the show, we like to break down the top players for both the first 2 days as well as the final 2 days. So let's get right into it. Here are the top players for week 2 of the Overwatch League. First off, we're going to look at damage, DPS, and for that we're going to go to the Philadelphia Fusion's very own Shadow Burn. And primarily his Genji performance. The man is untouchable when he plays. He's everywhere, a clinical killer on the field. But for a closer look, let's head over to NASCAB with the analysis.
Taking a look at Shadowburn, we see that he had a 47 plus KD this week. And also, he was able to flex from Genji to Junkrat to Pharah. On Anubis versus Fusion, he had a 38% of his team's opening kills, which is a massive amount for a Genji. Let's take a look at some of his other stats. Making Shadowburn an easy choice for days 1 and 2 standout DPS.
Next off, let's focus on tanks, and for that we're going to go over to the Houston Outlaws' Cool Matt, or as I've been calling him, Comeback Matt. I mean, after his performance being a little bit on the side last week, he has come back and he showed up for his team, helping them take some major W's where it counts. But for a closer look on his performance this week, especially as a tank, let's head over to NASCAB.
Cool Matt had an insane scoreline this week. He had plus 53 kill to death ratio, mostly padding his stats against the Dragons, where he had a plus 34 KD. He also had 44 kills over both the games he played. Let's take a look at some of his other stats. With his ults on points, makes him an easy choice for our standout tank of days 1 and 2.
And finally, for the first 2 days of the Overwatch League, week 2, let's focus on supports. Now, we're going to stay with the Houston Outlaws, and we're going to talk about Ruckus. Now, primarily and specifically, how he uses Zenyatta. Now, Zenyatta as a support, his job with it, he didn't necessarily get the most damage, but when it came to the ults, this man brought the ruckus. He owns the Iris, and he really makes his ultimates count. But for a closer look, let's head back to NASCAB.
Ruckus had 12% of his team's opening picks as Zenyatta. An insane amount of opening picks. He also very rarely died. He only died 4% of the time before anyone else did. With his clinical use of Transcendence, he carried his team to victory. Let's take a look at some of his other stats. That's why Ruckus is our standout support of days 1 and 2.
Going into the final 2 days of the second week of the Overwatch League, we're going to look at damage once again, and once again, a player that primarily focuses on Genji. We're talking about Prophet, and he's from the London Spitfire. Now, before I keep going, I told myself anytime we'd feature a London Spitfire player on the top players of the week, I would present it with an accent. So, here goes nothing. When you're looking at Genji, especially when he's being used by Prophet, you know, he comes out, he's like a ghost, right? And you can't touch him, and he's like everywhere. Once again, it's kind of common for people that use Genji and all that. You should, if you were renaming the DPS position, you could rename it to Prophet because he owned it so well. So let's go into a closer look with NASCAB.
Prophet's ability to flex Genji, Junk, and Tracer at a high level almost nabbed him the MVP slot. He was able to charge his Genji ult at an insane rate of once every 2 minutes, on top of being able to get a 34 kill death ratio versus the Fuel, and a 25-6 ratio versus the Valiant. Let's take a look at some of his other stats. And that is why he is the standout DPS of days 3 and 4.
Next up, we're going to be looking at tanks, and this tank is from the undefeated favorite team of mine, New York Excelsior, and it is Meko. Now, when we're talking about Meko, he's a versatile player, especially when playing a tank. You can see him as a diva, you can see him as a roadhog, wherever he wants to be, whatever he wants to do. Now, when this individual is playing as an exceptionally well tank, you can call him the king of the hill because he takes all the space he wants. He's 80% on hooks when he's roadhogging. You know what? Let's learn a little bit more from NASCAB. Let's do it.
Meko had an insane run versus the Gladiators. First, on the first game, he had a 12-0 run on Dorado. Then, he had a 24-4 run on Lunar Colony with 2 ult kills. An 80% hook accuracy on Oasis with Roadhog. And then finally on Eichenwald, he went 16-1. Let's take a look at some of his other stats. And that is why he is our standout tank of days 3 and 4.
And finally, we're going to focus on supports. And for that, we're going to go to sunny Florida, specifically Florida Mayhem's very own Zebosai. Now, when it comes to support, Zebosai really comes through, specifically when using Mercy. Now, you know what they say, heroes never die. And when it comes to that, Zebosai must have also counted himself, because he rarely dies. In the field, he's almost clairvoyant, helping his characters and other teammates stay alive and rarely dying in his own right. But for a closer look, let's head to NASCAR.
Zebosai may not be a super flashy player, but he very rarely dies, dying 1.5 times per 10 minutes on Mercy. His ult charge rate is of 5 times per 10 minutes. Let's take a look at some of his other stats. And that is why Zebosai is our standout support of days 3 and 4.
And finally, the MVP for Week 2 of the Overwatch League. Now, we've been here before, and we're going to come right back to Houston, to the Outlaws, because this week's MVP is Jake. Now, a lot to say about Jake. Really key in the performances for his team, winning throughout the entire second week of the Overwatch League. Super key ultimates, never out of position. I mean, a top level of play. The man is on top, the man is on fire, all right? But for more to say on this, let's head over to my favorite analyst, NazCab.
Jake makes our MVP very easily this week. On Junkertown versus the Fuel, he had his ult up every minute. He had a very high kill count of 15 kills per 10 minutes. He even can flex Tracer, Soldier, Pharah, and even Genji. Throughout the week, he racked up a 47 KD, 96 kills, and 43 ults. 43. And that's why he is our MVP of week 2.
Thanks. Oh, hey, it's Derek. Seriously, the Houston Outlaws wrecked it this week. Having so many people on the Players of the Week and taking the MVP spot, it was earned. Jake, what an incredible player this week. People were doubting him. I was online and I was reading, Jake's not that good. He's overhyped, blah, 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 blah. They proved he proved them wrong. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I
insane.
I lost my mind when in the map versus the Fuel.
Yeah.
Where he's out, it's on Oasis, and he jumps into the alley, and he pulls out the Genji blade, and he Genji blades the Riptire. I couldn't contain myself. I was screaming at my television.
Seriously, their entire team, from just their tanks to supports to DPS, were just all in sync. They were all on point. There's really, if they can continue like this throughout the rest of the stage and the rest of the entire league, they are going to basically be one of the top, if not the top team.
I 200% agree. And the other thing is when you 8-0 in a week, you're gonna see multiple players.
Right.
And your standout roles, because how do you say one player got you to 8-0?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And then MVP, no, I totally agreed. And Prophet, oh, he was clinical for London. So I you know what? I really don't envy their job over at the analyst desk, because how do you choose between Jake and Prophet and Pine and Fleta? I feel like these are players that could almost be MVPs every week.
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, I really just wow.
Yeah.
But we do have something a little extra special. We're doing another play breakdown. I'm excited. You took us to Anubis Assault with the Gladiators in Shanghai.
That's right.
Last week. Where are we going this week?
We're going to Junkertown. That's right.
Okay.
And it's really not a play. It's more of a reaction to when you get on top of things. So I'm pretty excited to share with you my thoughts on what this team did. And it's an interesting way of getting your teammates to play like this as well.
Okay. Well, let's jump right on in. All you.
Hey guys, welcome to the play breakdown. Here I'm going to be breaking down a more of a simple play, but it's one that you can really take home to your friends and your team, and it's just an easy step in order to make your gameplay so much better. Here we're going to go ahead and go to Junkertown with Excelsior versus Valiant, and it is really interesting to see what Valiant does when they win a team fight right before the first point. So let's go ahead and get to it. Now we're here on Junkertown. We have Los Angeles Valiant, we have Excelsior, defending, and right now we have an Orisa and a Roadhog and a Bastion all around the cart. We have, there are other players there. Once they get to the gate, they go ahead and pop 2 ults, make sure that they take out the entire team. This was an incredible team clear. It was very, very impressive. Now what happens? We have Orisa, Bastion, and Roadhog move up and take control of a forward base. the Excelsior is going to spawn. They're going to look at this forward base. They're going to be like, okay, we got to take these out. We got to attack, maybe tag them a bit and make sure we kill them. But this entire time, we have the point going forward uncontested. The little small thing of moving up, taking that space, slows down the defending team so that it's basically a free half point. They go uncontested for more than half of the second point. It is very impressive. Now, this is Valiant versus Excelsior. Valiant in the end loses, but it just shows that you can take that space easily. You can take this home to your friends, to your team, and if you do this, if you find yourself at a point where you take out the entire team, you move forward. You move forward, make sure you slow them down, and this just gives you so much more maneuverability, flexibility, time on the objective. And that is my breakdown.
You know what? I really like that. I like the idea of playing a little active defense while on offense to give yourself some room, some breathing room. Because also Junkertown, that first choke, that first little S bend is one of the hardest parts about it because you've got the high rise on a couple different areas, and to just kind of deny that, I really like that. You know what? There's no way we're not adding that to the next time we play Junkertown.
Now, seriously, you see this all the time in professional players. Like they go and make sure that they take up ground that is really easily defensible. But if you're playing out there, regular comp, just regular non-professional levels, then you don't see that at all. They kind of just stay on the point, just like let's just ride this along. It's fine, and they don't take the fight to the defensive team.
I feel like it's that, like you stay on the point, or it's this over aggression, where you're pushing not to just like a checkpoint, but like all the way into the enemy spawn.
Right.
And then you get split spawn, you get split up your team, and you just end up costing your own team so much time, so much space, so much energy. When I just like that, you're just, like I said, just a little active defense, just a little bit forwards going, hey, you know what? If you want to come here, you're going to have to start the fight now.
That's right.
And so, no, I really enjoyed that.
And it's something easy to do. It's something that anyone can do. So that's why it's my play breakdown.
I really like that. So normally we would send it off to, oh, hey, it's Derek and NASCAB for the E Factor, the tip of the week. But for this week, I'm going to go ahead and keep it myself. I'm going to keep it right here. And the reason is because we're going to be talking about mouse sensitivity, which is something that you and myself, we have differing, differing settings.
You can say that.
So for me, the second I found this out, and I went and changed it, so maybe you'll be in the same boat as myself,
all right,
is that the average player in the Overwatch League plays at a DPI setting, a dots per inch, of 1600.
1600, really?
And an in-game sensitivity in Overwatch of between 2 and 6.
Wow.
So if you've never fiddled around with your Overwatch in-game sensitivity, you're sitting at 15, just to give a frame of reference. So that's something that you can go ahead and start playing around with. Now, the way I suggest getting used to a lower sensitivity is don't just turn it all the way down and try to force yourself into it, because you're going to find yourself just the muscle memory isn't going to be there, and you're going to find it's going to feel like you're playing an entirely new video game. So what I suggest is just start moving it down incrementally, 2-3 notches at a time. DPI is by far the easiest part to get used to because it's the most broad range. So switching around your DPI, which if you're using a gaming mouse can be set in most of their application software or with a button on the mouse itself. So figuring out those kind of tips and tools will help you play a little bit more like a pro. And the last thing I'll give you is the reason they do it. So the reason they do it is because they're playing in a high-stress environment. And obviously, if you've watched any of the pros, they're good about staying calm. But your body can only stay as calm as your mind is. So if your mind's racing, your heart's going to beat, your heart beats, you're going to get tremors. Well, having a lower sensitivity allows the mouse to not feel every tremor that you do as you move around, which inherently makes your crosshair move smoother. The other reason is because broad actions are easier for the body to remember with muscle memory, which means if you're trying to get that Widowmaker, up into the rafters, flyby shot, it's going to be that much easier for your body to memorize how to get from point A to point B with your entire arm moving, because your sensitivity and your DPI are both lower with a larger mouse pad. So that is your E-Factor tip of the week.
Personally, my DPI, I set it to 800.
Okay.
800 with a sensitivity score to 5. So try it out. Make sure you have a pretty big mouse pad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it has to be pretty big.
For me personally, I'm currently sitting at, I changed depending on the character, which is another thing. You'll see the pro switch per character too, because some characters you need to be a little more mobile. But
Sure.
for me, I personally sit at about 1,200 in an in-game setting of 2.
All right. I mean, there's some mice out there that you can quickly change with the buttons on the DPI, so I recommend looking out for those.
I just got me one of those.
Oh, all right. So your game's going to be a little bit better now,
I'm
huh?
hoping.
All right. Well, guys, it's been fun here, but make sure to check out Good Luck Have Fun during the week right before the games launch. That's where basically me and Havoc here, we figure out who's going to win. We kind of play off each other. We count up whoever's right at the end of the weekend.
Which I'm sitting pretty at 1 point more. And just to clarify the scoring system, so the way it works is for each point, or for each game we get right, we get a point. For each score line we get perfect, we get an additional point. And with all points tallied, and as you saw in the narrative breakdown of the week, I am sitting pretty at 1 correct answer.
It was just because of that London Spitfire versus Valiant game. That's it. If the roles were reversed, I would be up there.
It all came down to overtime. And I have to say is that, could you ask for a better week? A closer week than that, though?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that was seriously one of the best games to watch on that one, too.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of games to watch, though, what is your game to watch in the upcoming week?
You know what? I absolutely love listening to all of the stories, all the narratives. I like the rivalries. So I'm going to go with the LA team games. The LA Gladiators versus Los Angeles Valiant. They are playing to become the king of California. Who's going to be out on top? Is it going to be the Gladiators or the Valiant? Now, we were saying that the Valiant might win, right? I don't know. They might be a little bit better.
I'm going to have to look at more footage, and if you want to hear our full opinions, you're going to have to check out Good Luck, Have Fun.
That's right.
That's absolutely going to be a game to watch. And for me, my game to watch is the Seoul Dynasty taking on the New York Excelsior.
Ooh. Two monsters of a team going at it 2-4-0. Like, seriously, this is going to break their streak, one of their streaks. So
Absolutely.
I'm pretty excited to see the outcome of that.
That game is going to be bananas. It's going to be exciting. It's going to have plays. The biggest question, Fleta versus Pine, do we get to see it? We better, because that is the MVP title card match. So I'm excited moving into week 3 of the Overwatch League. However, for this episode, I think we're wrapping on up.
I think so.
Do you have anything final to say to our wonderful viewers?
Really, I mean, if you really want to learn more about anything, let us know in the comments. We will go overview maps, players, teams, what they're about. Whatever you want to know, we'll cover in some mini-series.
Oh, absolutely. And make sure to like and subscribe. But for now, that's the GG, and keep it well played.